Right, welcome to Rambling Achieved. As you can see, we're picking up where we left off with the profile review. Um, we left off at Dying Light 2, I believe it was. So, yeah, Dying Light 2, fun zombie game. Um, haven't played too much of it. I actually very much preferred the first game. Never did the DLC for the first game, the following, I think it was called. And then Dying Light 2 came out, and it was very, very busted at launch, unfortunately, which kind of like soured the taste a little bit. They also made some weird design decisions with the game, and yeah, it never really clicked with me. I do want to go back and try it again at some point, but I think I just don't enjoy the actual structure of the game that they tried to do with the little faction things and stuff like that. I don't know. I prefer the layout of the original game and the way that it did that. I liked its so I was actually a big fan of Dead Island back in the day. So I did prefer the more traditional, just spiritual successor vibe that the original had, and then this tried to be a little bit different, which didn't really click with me. Forza Horizon 5, just Playground have masterfully crafted and worked out how to do an open world racing game that balances the arcade sentiment of like old racing games and still making it fun for people who just like racing games in a more like simulation-esque sense of just purely racing. It's really crazy how well they've cracked that formula. Um, Sunless Skies. This is an interesting one. I did an actual video of it on the channel where it was a 1 hour first impression, and very, very strange game. Very strange. You're basically looking at it from a bird's eye perspective in the sense of what was it called? Is it Agario, I believe, the one of the old games that blew up on YouTube and stuff, where you like eat the balls to get bigger and stuff like that. It's kind of like that sense, but you're going through these really creepy, cryptic, cosmic horror-esque environments, and you're just trying to like balance your crew, make money and stuff like that. It was an interesting concept. I do want to go back to it and visit it at some point, but yeah, I believe I only played. It would have been the hour and 20 minutes. So I do want to go back to it at some point. The Destroy All Humans remake. I I enjoyed this for what it was, and I think I remember fondly more enjoying my time with it on the PS2 back in the day. It was either this or the second game. I can't remember which one it was that I put a decent amount of time into. Um, but yeah, this is fine. I don't know if they're continuing, because what you're usually seeing is when they do remakes and remasters, you're usually seeing like a new entry in the series eventually, and I don't know if they're going to be making another one, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye out on. So this is the other version of The Binding of Isaac. This was the original release for the Xbox One, being Rebirth, and then they tagged on all of the expansions that they did, and then eventually I think they would have put Repentance because it's taken away my 100%. Yeah, so this would be the bulk save file as to what I have. I'm only missing 2 achievements, which are unlocking Death Certificate and then achieving Dead God. But like, yeah, a lot of time spent in the old Isaac. I still love it. I just, as I said, I think it was in the previous episode, just the tainted characters just don't do anything for me. Some of them are fun, but the majority of them are more frustrating than enjoyable. Mars Warlogs. So this is one of the many Spiders RPGs that they've released over the years, and this is actually the precursor to the Technomancer. If you're familiar with that, it was a game that came out on the Xbox One and PS4. I believe it was given away. I know it was given away with Games of Gold, so it must have been given away with PlayStation Plus at some point. So it's probably in many people's libraries, the Technomancer, but this was the original game, and I do actually really enjoy this world that they've crafted. It's a really interesting world, especially in the Technomancer when they get to the end. It has multiple endings, and it's kind of interesting to see how that all unfolds, especially from them working on like a shoestring budget and being very constricted in what they could. Because I remember the Technomancer had like really, really tough budget constraints. But they did a really good job with it, so awesome job there. That's backwards compatible as well if you're on Xbox, so definitely check it out. You can usually find it for really, really cheap. Just taking a drink break. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. A Souls-like that it's a lot more tame than many other Souls-likes. It's not very, very, very challenging. It's pretty manageable. It had an interesting setting and mixing in like God, what do you call it? Like colonial era-esque things, like some muskets and stuff like that. And yeah, I didn't play a whole ton of it, put 2 hours into it, but I do plan on returning to it at some point. Obviously, I've said it time and time again, Souls-likes are my favorite genre, basically, so I will end up going through each of them eventually. Oh, this is such an underappreciated title, Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess. It's a little bit drawn out when you get to the end of the game. I feel like it had a little bit of a weird pacing issue, but they do a really, really good job of like it's really artistic. The combat's really fun, and it mixes real-time combat and like tower defense really, really damn well into this like unique blend. And yeah, it took me about 20 hours to beat. You do have like New Game Plus, which I'll eventually go through and try and conquer at some point, but really, really damn fun. I believe it's from Capcom as well, if I'm not mistaken. So very interesting. Sniper Elite Resistance, the latest entry in the Sniper Elite franchise. Didn't click with it as much as others. I feel like they've kind of stagnated a little bit. Rebellion with the Sniper Elite franchise. It's good to see them taking chances with Adamfall, and then they've announced something new. I can't remember what it is, but they are spreading their wings a little bit more. But yeah, a very safe entry in the Sniper Elite franchise. Merging Blade is a auto battler where you're combining units. So you start off with like farmers, combine them into soldiers, soldiers combine into archers, and then yeah, you just keep going up and up and up. So interesting concept for a game, but didn't love it. It had an insane amount of achievements, but I did finish the campaign, so that was fun. Citizen Sleeper, can't really get into this. I've tried a few times. Visual novel-esque title, kind of similar to Disco Elysium in many respects, but I don't know, the gameplay systems that it was employing just didn't click with me. There was like a time constraint thing, it felt like, much like there is in Disco Elysium, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just, as I said, didn't click with me at all, unfortunately. Expeditions Rome. I'm very much excited for the next iteration of the Xbox, which is going to be obviously more PC based because then I'll be able to play this a lot more easily. Um, but I've put it on pause for now. But this is like a CRPG set in ancient Rome, following like Julius Caesar and stuff like that, and tackling different themes. Really fun, really fun. But yeah, didn't sink my teeth into it too much. I think that's the PC version of Crusader Kings 3. I think I've already talked about the console version, so I've not played the PC version really at all. I was just testing it out. Ember console edition. This is like a Diablo like. Yeah, didn't put too much time into it. I don't even know who made it. I'm not familiar with the developer, but I will return to it at some point. I did enjoy aspects of it. Just one of them things where like your attention gets pulled away. Time Shift, first person shooter that employs time related mechanics. Didn't really click with it either. So move on from that. Fallen Legion didn't actually. I think this was. I went to boot it up and then had to put it down immediately, so I never even tried it. So can't speak on that. Spec Ops: The Line, really incredible third person shooter from Jaeger. They really walked the tightrope of exploring themes of war that you don't usually see, and I know many people have like varying opinions on it. Some people don't like the things that they explored, others do. I sit on the fence of I think they did a pretty good job of exploring the horrors of war, um, and the multiple endings like really add to it, showing like just how far the human psyche can go. Tales of Iron 2, didn't really play much of it. Played more of the first game, so we'll need to get back to that. That's just a Metroidvania, basically. Side-scrolling Metroidvania. Um, Murdered Soul Suspect, a cross-generation title set in the town of Salem, and you basically play as a ghost, trying to figure out who the murderer is, who killed you. And it has like a massive web of intrigue. Really interesting and fun game. A little bit buggy though. On the Xbox One version, I don't know if it was also buggy on PlayStation and the previous gen, because I know it released on 360 as well. Just achievements just wouldn't pop sometimes. Really unfortunate. Slid Ahead, I believe this is from, I want to say one of the Silent Hill people. I think. Um, didn't get to play too much of it. It's actually going to be one of the Shocktober games that I pick up for this year and go and play. But yeah, really brutal and grotesque themes in the game. Ninja Gaiden, not really ever dived into a Ninja Gaiden game. 4 looks really damn interesting because it's from Platinum, and I really do like their design philosophy that they have. But yeah, I don't think I played very much of this at all. 4 and a bit hours. I don't know how long the game is, but yeah, it's not really something that I've experienced. I know it was like huge on the original Xbox, Ninja Gaiden, and I've never had an original Xbox, so it wasn't something that I experienced. Scare Ritual. So they did another game called Made of Scare, I believe, which was like a horror-esque game. This is basically Call of Duty Zombies, just as a separate game. Really interesting they've tried doing it. I know it wasn't perfectly executed, but I think it does a good enough job. A lot of people who have tried it do enjoy it. Civilization 6, big Civilization fan. kind of worried about the direction of the series as of late. I know that the latest game didn't do all that well. So yeah, I know they changed up many like core systems and it kind of annoyed people. But Civ 6 is fun still. Enchanted Arms, a really, really weird one. I believe this is a FromSoft developed turn-based JRPG published by Ubisoft. A very, very bizarre game. I ended up getting pretty far into it and then hit like a really, really brutal difficulty spike, which would require me to probably reload a previous save and do some grinding, and I've just not gone back and done it. So, two idle games. Just Cause 4, haven't really explored that. It's only Just Cause I haven't finished. Really cool weather effects. Really cool. The gunplay's a lot more snappier, but didn't really connect with what it wanted, unfortunately. So yeah, didn't really click with Just Cause 2. Sorry if that like is a weird cut. I had to go quickly run and do something. Yeah, I'll get back to it at some point, but definitely, I think the peak of the series was probably a toss up either between 2 or 3. One's a little bit flawed. I think the gameplay in 3 is a lot of fun, and there's some really cool set pieces in 2. The Darkness 1 and 2, a first-person shooter mixing in with like monster-like powers. You don't really see these types of themes in games anymore. When I think back of like the 360 era, it was so much more ingrained in like dark and gritty stuff, and also like even like the original Xbox and PS2 had like a lot of themes of that, and then things have kind of like brightened up a little bit. It feels like we've shied away from darker, deeper colors, and you're seeing a lot of games get published now where like purple and it's flare and flashy and bright and stuff like that. And yeah, I think we're missing something slightly, if I'm being honest. So Starbreeze did the first game, who are the people behind the Chronicles of Riddick, and then The Darkness 2 was, I believe, Digital Extreme, who are the Warframe developers. So a very interesting thing, and there was like a good amount of like shift in design philosophy between the two. When they shifted. Game Dev Story, if you've played Game Dev Tycoon on the PC, it's basically very similar to that, but a mobile port is what this was. I believe they're called Kairosoft, and they've done loads of them. If you're a big achievement hunter, focused solely on the act of earning gamer score, you could probably get like 40,000 gamer score for their stuff alone. I think they've released an incredible amount of titles now. Final Fantasy X, 10.2 HD remaster. I made it to one of the later bosses and ended up in the same way of, what was it called, Enchanted Arms, hitting like a massive difficulty spike and never returned. And I've tried to like go back a few times now, and I always end up like petering off a little bit, but really cool game. I very, very much appreciate the craft that is Final Fantasy X. I've never played 10.2 though. Wasteland Remastered, just couldn't click with it at all. So I think I said it in the previous video or the video before that. I would really, really like for them to do a remake of the original Wasteland and do it in the same vein of like even just Wasteland 2 would be cool. Doesn't even need to be like perfectly executed in like a Wasteland 3 sense. Disco Elysium, one of my favorite games of all time. CRPG where you're a police officer with like amnesia basically, and you were just basically a complete blank slate, and you can lean into the degeneracy that is your character and the flaws of it, or try to redeem yourself, and then there's just a complete masterfully written story wrapped around it, and so many, it just oozes with richness of exploring like political themes and stuff like that, and it's just done so damn well. For the King 2, a roguelite, I believe, kind of esque, party-based, turn-based RPG. We didn't play too much of it. We played a lot of the first game, but there was a lot of bugs in that second game when it launched, and we've not gone back because it's fully co-op. Football Manager 2024 console, they cancelled the 2025 version, but every single console version, bar the latest one, I've 100% from the moment that they've done like the modern re-release schedule. Haven't done the ones from like 2007, but these modern ones, the plan is to keep 100%ing them, and we'll be trying to do that. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, kind of a weird spin-off for Yakuza, or Like a Dragon, as it's now referred to. I don't know where I sit with this. I liked aspects of it, and I didn't like other aspects. If you don't want to hear my thoughts, just skip forward like 30, 40 seconds from now. I just don't like what they've done with Kiryu. I think you could have closed this story off really well in Yakuza 6. He didn't really need to get continually dragged forward. There was like an emotional impact and a closure, and they just don't know what to do. It feels like they don't know how to move on. So, Neverwinter Nights. I haven't really spent much time with Neverwinter Nights, so a gap in my Dungeons and Dragons knowledge and stuff like that. But I'd like to explore more of it. It's kind of interesting as to what they crafted. Biomutant. Um, how would you describe this? An action RPG, third person action RPG, where you play as like this little creature thing, and you're able to morph like the character creator, like your stats, and it makes your character look different. And then you get like different mutations and stuff like that in this very post-apocalyptic world. Kind of interesting, and you're trying to like balance evil and good with these like factions and stuff like that, and it's kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me almost of like Fable in a way. A lot of it's still a design philosophy. Unicorn Overlord, Vanillaware and Atlas combining to make a really cool mixture blend of turn-based, real-time strategy, and can't think of the word, visual novel into an RPG, and like I absolutely loved it, 100% it. Really, really, really loved this game. Deathloop, not so much. Not really a big fan of this. I know it kind of had like warm-ish reception, but I just couldn't click with it. I don't really enjoy time loop mechanics unless it's a roguelite, so didn't really gel with me, if I'm being honest. Lollipop Chainsaw, never really been one that I've explored. It was one that I missed out on the 360, and then they've re-released it. Played a little bit of it, couldn't really click with the combat, didn't really enjoy it, so don't know if I'll be going back to that. Path of Exile, a Diablo-like, where we must have put in like a good amount of time into this. It feels like we did a lot more than that, but I got to level 47. Just a humongous game. Don't think I'll ever be quote unquote finishing it. A very, very huge game. Wild Frost, roguelite card game, I believe, if I remember correctly. Just dipped into it briefly. It was a Game Pass game, so didn't really play much of it. Redacted, a very weird decision from, I can't remember who designed it. The Callisto Protocol. I can't remember who the devs are, whatever their name is. This is a twin stick roguelite set in the same universe, set in the prison and stuff like that. And just very strange that they went from a very intense horror to this. I don't think the Callisto Protocol did all that well. I would very, very highly doubt that this did all that well either. It was kind of fun. Did one run of it. We'll probably go back to it at some point, but yeah, just a weird thing with Glenn Schofield. He's kind of like really struggled to land on his feet since the shuttering of like Dead Space and stuff like that, and Visceral, and really unfortunate. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Bethesda's take on Indiana Jones, going for like an immersive sim-esque game. Very, very interesting. I just didn't. I thought it was okay. I know some people really, really, really loved it, but I thought it was alright. I think things that have heavy puzzle elements just don't really click with me. So, obviously, with the archaeology stuff and the puzzles, and yeah, just wasn't for me. Really pretty game though, and Troy Baker did a really exceptional job at mimicking Harrison Ford. Metaphor Refantasio, the next step from the people who did Persona, kind of teasing the Persona fans who are still waiting for Persona 6, like myself. But this is a really good game. You know, I'm glad that they tried something a little bit different. It has a lot of the Persona DNA though, so if you're yearning for Persona, there's a lot of it in there. Plague Inc. Evolved, a strategy game where you play as various different types of diseases and stuff like that, and you just try and spread across the world and eventually kill everyone. A really interesting concept. Originally a mobile game, I believe, and on PC, and then obviously made its way to consoles. They did a really cool thing as well during COVID. They did a Cure Inc. thing, so they flipped it on its head and did a curing version of it, which was kind of cool. Driver San Francisco, one of the last kind of very original concepts to come out of Ubisoft in a very long time, giving a driving game like really heavy plot, and yeah, I do want to get back to this at some point. The driving physics aren't perfect, but it's an interesting like spin on a story because it's very different. I don't want to spoil. You literally can't really broach on any of the themes and subjects of it without spoiling it. So, Valkyria Revolutions is the same universe as Valkyria Chronicles, but this is, instead of being like a turn-based, like more of a strategy game, this is more a action game. So, haven't played too much of it, but I did enjoy my time with it. Oh boy, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the game that never ends. Like, yeah, 9 days, 8 hours. And 100% the original game, 100%. They did a French-based DLC and an Ireland-based DLC, so 100% of them. But there's just so much more to the game. It just never ends. Turok, I'm not really going to waste time talking about it. It just didn't click with me. Played a little bit of it, didn't really enjoy it. Marvel's Midnight Suns, one of the very few games I never like I've said it many times, but I don't want it to ever end. It's so addictive. The combat, I love just booting it up and just running through submissions, playing as the different characters and stuff like that. It just has all of the stickiness that that I look for in like a card game. Did a really good job. It's from the developers of XCOM as well. It was a really interesting take. UFL, this is a game that was trying to fill in the shoe when FIFA fell out with EA, and FIFA have gone and said that they're going to make their own game, and then EA made FC. You had like this trying to step into the ring because PES has been kind of struggling, or eFootball as it's known. Didn't really, I don't think it made a big splash at all. Goat Simulator 3, just another Goat Simulator game. Ace Combat 6. I love Assault Horizon, and I really enjoyed Ace Combat 7. I haven't really touched Ace Combat 6. It's backwards compatible, so I'll probably get to it at some point, but yeah, haven't really touched it. But I do like the flight sim based games. They're a good amount of fun. Beyond Good and Evil, can't really click with it. Tried a few times, played like the HD port a little bit, played this for a little bit, and just, I don't know, maybe I just need to break through like a wall. Maybe the opening hours are a bit tedious. It gets better, but I don't know. It's just never been something that's stuck with me. Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Just what do you call it? I can't think of the name of the developer. Whoever the Mortal Kombat developers, I want to say NetherRealm, but I don't know if that's correct. It sounds correct. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, just the clashing of obviously Mortal Kombat characters and the DC stuff. So it was the precursor to Injustice, I believe. Was there I don't know if this came out before or after Injustice, that first one actually. But whatever it was, they were teaming up with DC a good amount, and it has an interesting campaign. You either go on the DC side or the Mortal Kombat side, and you get a different like boss fight at the end. I'm not very good at these kind of fighting games. I do play them on the easiest difficulty, and I just enjoy like the really camp storytelling aspects that they have going on. So never would touch the online. I would get shredded like wheat. Call of Juarez the Cartel. This is the final available Call of Juarez game I could play on modern consoles that I haven't beaten. It's not very good, so there's a reason I've kind of dragged my feet, but I will get around to it at some point. Just my OCD in the head of just being able to tick off all of the games. Unknown Nine Awakening, I haven't played enough of this to really have a recollection of what it was. It kind of reminded me similarly of like what do you call it? Banishers in a way, but yeah, it didn't really stick with me at all. Crackdown 3, really unfortunate that this game kind of flopped, I think would be a fair assessment. Like, the first two games are amazing, in my opinion, especially that first game. And then this one is just, I don't know, it lacks soul, it feels like. Lacks a lot of that magic that the original games did. Unpacking, very simple game, it says it in the title. You're just given these little scenarios of moving houses and stuff like that, and you're just unpacking, you're placing things. Very therapeutic, relaxing game. Age of Empires 2, I've played like a good amount of Age of Empires 3. That's the only one that I've really done. Never really delved into 2, but we'll plan on delving in at some point. Pentiment didn't click with me. I'm not sure what it is. Like, the art style was cool, time setting's cool, just didn't compel me to stick with it. I know a lot of people like it though. Lollipop we've already talked about. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This is a weird one. I don't know if they've rolled back the change that they did, but this was all like cloud-based, because the original, they put a game out either a year or two before this one, and it was like huge. It was like 200 something gigabytes, and then this one was like 15 gigabytes as like a follow-up, something crazy small. And it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And it was because instead of it being a game that has all of that information downloaded and stuff like that, you were just basically cloud playing it, and it just ran like shit. Genshin, much like Zenless Zone Zero, just another MMO gacha game. Rollerdrome didn't really click with me. I enjoy aspects of it, but it didn't really. I was like, okay, I've seen enough of it. As to what it was a mixture between like Tony Hawk Pro Skater in a way, and then adding like combat mechanics and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it. I don't know what, with them just branding it Call of Duty, that's just probably just a compilation of many modern Call of Duty games. So I'm sure you know what Call of Duty is. Slavic Punk Old Timer. This is a twin stick shooter set in like a cyberpunk world. I did enjoy my time with it. I want to go back to it. It was a good amount of fun. Very, very Blade Runner inspired. Bleak Faith, a Souls-like, didn't really get enough time spent with it, so we'll not be talking about it. The Inquisitor, very messy game. Very Eurojank-like game, really poor frame rates. Do not recommend it. I think that might be the first game I've said I don't recommend. All the way down here in like part 5. Crazy. Gungrave Gore, a very PS2 inspired game. Very clunky feeling, very heavy. It's basically Devil May Cry, but more so focused on the guns, and then your character's been nailed to the ground. There's no like verticality that you get with Devil May Cry, but fun game overall. Dragon Age the Veilguard, massive Dragon Age fan. I feel like this game was unfairly torn to shreds. It's not their best work. It's their best combat, that's for sure. And it's kind of what EA struggled with them gutting their writers. You've had the same thing happen now. So Mass Effect Andromeda had the best combat, but really shit writing. And now we've had Dragon Age Veilguard, where it has subpar writing compared to the rest of the series. And the combat's amazing. They just, yeah, they should not have shunned the writers at all. It's really unfortunate. Control Ultimate Edition, very big fan of Remedy. I like the connected universes that they got going. Control's one of my favorite games of all time. It's like a mixture of like SCP, The Matrix almost in a way, third person shooter. Just a complete wild experience, and it still baffles me that their games are so damn good, but nobody really seems to care, and it just gets no mainstream appeal at all, and I just don't understand it. Orcs Must Die Free, co-op, third-person tower defense game. Haven't really played all that much of it. I don't know how long we put in. I remember playing it through co-op. Yeah, we did about 2 hours of it. I want to go back to it. I want to do the other games for sure. Fade to Silence, didn't play too much of this. It's a kind of a brutal survival game. Third person, didn't really click with it, if I'm being honest. Dismantle, another survival game, sorry. I did click with this a little bit more, but didn't end up progressing too far. Yeah, about 4 hours. I do want to go back to that as well. Really fun, really interesting. Alan Wake 2, connected to the Remedy verse. They really nailed the horror aspect in this game. There were some really, really brutal jump scares in this game. I need to go back into the DLC, but very, very much worth the wait. I was waiting for the physical release, and yeah, just I would say this is a masterpiece of a game, personally. Wreckfest, a very. I don't want to be harsh here. It's an okay racing game. It's very, very simple. They get kind of funky with some of the race types and stuff like that. You have like lawnmower, demolition derby, and stuff like that as like a cool damage system as well that they got going, but gets very, very stale very quickly. So, massive fan of Vampire the Masquerade. This is the only visual novel that's available on Xbox. I don't know if they've had more elsewhere that I haven't finished as of yet. I do need to go back and finish that, but yeah, visual novel, Vampire the Masquerade game. 99 Nights 2, that was just checking to make sure the disc worked. Haven't played it. PC building simulator. Kind of fun little gimmick that they have where you're running your own like repair shop for PCs. It's kind of good at teaching people because it's not like obviously perfect one-to-one, but they do a good enough job of, you're cracking open the case, you're making sure to put thermal paste on and stuff like that, and it does teach you good skills if you wanted to build your own PC and stuff like that. Magic 2015. The only thing I'm missing for that is the multiplayer achievement for winning 100 matches, I believe is what it was. Yeah, I got 20. Very sad, but very big fan of Magic the Gathering. Recall. Didn't really play much of it. It was kind of an underrated Xbox One exclusive. Nobody really cared about it. I believe it was from one of the original developers of the Metroid games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Xbox has just really struggled at trying to find an identity outside of Halo and Gears, and they both have also struggled, so it's not helped their case. They're just very bad at moving on, it feels like, and hopefully that can change. Modern Warfare 3, of the 3 games, probably my least favourite, if I'm being honest. It'd probably be MW2, MW1, and then MW3 for me. The equivalent of their zombies mode, though, in this game with the survival horde-based thing, that was really cool. I did enjoy that. Very dope. Diablo 2 Resurrected. Didn't play all that much of it. We did, I think, Act 1 or 2. Yeah, Act 2. And then just, it was very, very tedious. Didn't really click with it, so I'm not sure if I'll be going back. It's it feels very aged. Banishers Ghost of New Eden. Haven't. It's weird because I think I've played like a good amount. Yeah, 11 hours and I got 3 achievements. Oh boy. The very God of War, what was it, 2017 or 2018? It was God of War 2018. Inspired in the way that the game has its design philosophy, following a pair of a couple who go around banishing ghosts, and there's a cool like moral dilemma that you're having to face in the game. But yeah, haven't played too much of it. Silent Hill HD collection for the Xbox was Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3. So I beat Silent Hill 2 and haven't beat Silent Hill 3 yet. Red Dead Redemption. I think everybody knows what Red Dead Redemption is. Did the single player. I need to do the Undead Nightmare DLC. I've played it many times, but never actually beat it. But very, very fun. Very. I commend Rockstar for, you know, they've obviously done really well with the GTA games, but they didn't sit on their laurels and were like, no, let's do a Western game, you know? So power to them, man. I think they've got a good balance there of modern day, and then uh, obviously Western is a good balance to counteract that. Wanted Dead. Um, hmm. It has kind of Devil May Cry inspiration in some senses, but this is it's a very PS2 coded game. Um, very, very over the top action, completely nonsensical plot, weird, bizarre game, and just a fever dream of a game basically. But very, very fun, very enjoyable, very difficult though in some of the later areas of the game. Dead Age is a turn-based RPG where you're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse and manage a group of survivors, and you're given like moral dilemmas and stuff like that, and different areas that you need to explore. And yeah, it's kind of just a turn-based version of State of Decay in many ways. Has a lot of like the same similar trappings, but you're just not given an open world to explore. Assetto Corsa, don't really have much to say on it. I didn't really click with it as a sim racer. The Innsmouth case, I haven't really played all that much of it. Yeah, 10 minutes. But that was a novel-based game, so you're like it's opening a book and choosing things. I just wasn't in the mindset for it. 13, what a weird game that they went back and were like, yeah, let's go remake that. A very renowned cult classic game, cell shaded, very inspired by like James Bond and stuff like that, and maybe Mission Impossible, you could argue. This remake was just bad. Like they lost a lot of charm when they first put it out. They then went back and tried to fix it. I think a lot of the damage was already done by that point. I don't think we're ever going to see a continuation, and it's really unfortunate because the game ends on a cliffhanger as well. So, DC Universe Online. So that's just an MMO set in the DC universe. You can either play as a superhero or supervillain, and you just go around doing stuff. Valorant, really unfortunate that there's no crossplay between regions in this game. So me and a friend were like very excited to finally get our hands on it, and because he lives in America, I couldn't play with him because they're very, very, very strict on like ping regulation, I believe is what it was. It's just like, okay, I respect that from like a competitive sense, but like we're not playing for money, guys. You don't need to be so strict. You're gonna probably see many of these where it's FC. This is from like free trials where they put it up, and I go in and I'm like, oh, I wonder if like I'll enjoy this year of FC, and it's just is 2015 is probably like the last one that I genuinely loved, and then everything onward from that is lost on me basically. The Crew 2, not really a fan. Enjoyed the Crew 1, didn't really enjoy the changes because the Crew 1 had like a cool undercover cop story, and then the Crew 2 is just build up a follower meter on social media, and it's just like, okay, that's kind of lame. Cat Quest 2. Oh, how would you describe this? Kind of like a beat 'em up in a way. I'm trying to think of like a similar game. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do it justice. I can't think of a game that's like similar to it that I'll be able to like pull from the memory. But fun game, very very good humor, and a very fun loop. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Just don't find not Bayek, Basim. That's his name. Don't find Basim to be a particularly interesting character. So when having learned that he was getting his own like origin game, it was just like, okay, but it's okay. It's a lot more streamlined than Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like a lot shorter. You can 100% it in, 30 hours, 40 hours, compared to hundreds of hours. eFootball, that's Pez. Really enjoy their Ultimate Team equivalent, but it's just they just don't have staying power. They are no longer a force to be reckoned with as they were back in the day. FIFA, or FC as it's known now, just eats it alive. And as you can see, we're doing like cross comparisons, being a friend, and just yeah, we prefer eFootball, but FIFA just does eat it alive, unfortunately. So Punch Club is a turn-based RPG where you're building up as a fighter, basically. Has a weird narrative, really bizarre stuff that it's exploring. My biggest complaint for it is that your stats decay over time, and a lot of people hated this. And I believe they remedied it in the sequel that they did. But yeah, it's kind of what stopped me from finishing it, is that it feels like a lot of it is busy work by the end. I believe you get upgrades where it can put like a hard cap limit, so it can't fall below. So say like strength gets to 10, you can get like a thing that says it doesn't ever go below 10, so it can kind of remedy it slightly. But yeah, it does feel like a lot of times, because it's a day schedule system where you're doing stuff on the clock, you then go and rest, and then your stats decay and stuff like that. And it does feel like a little bit of busy work. Never played Grandia. I was just booting it up to make sure it worked, because this was a limited run print. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, just checking to make sure it worked. Lords of the Fallen, this is the reboot. I ended up 100%ing it. Really brutal 100% with the extra stuff that they added. Played a lot of this game, and they've title updated it even more. So we'll have to go back and conquer that. Underrated Dungeons and Dragons game here. Kind of Dragon Age Origins inspired, but very, 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 very light on story. But has that kind of like tactics combat that they employ in Dragon Age Origins. Very fun, very fun. Rise of Eternal War. I don't remember much of that. That might have been the Age of War clone. We'll never know, because nobody's made a footage clip of it. Mado Anomalies, this is a JRPG turn-based game. Kind of wears its persona, well, more so Soul Hackers, I'd probably say, inspiration on its sleeve. I do want to go back and finish this. It was a lot of fun. Pure racing game, very over the top. Weird, like Disney publishing this. They had a hand in publishing many games back in the day. They don't really do all that much now, I don't believe. But yeah, a fun like ATV, dirt bike, quad bike racer with very over the top like stages and stuff like that. Call of Duty 3, just classic Call of Duty World War II story. Dredge. This is a kind of like Lovecraftian horror-esque game, as you're a little fisherman and you're trying to just make money. But the more you play, the more the cosmic horror elements start to appear. I do want to go back and finish this. It was a good amount of fun. They were just releasing DLCs at the time, so I ended up stopping and waiting. Warhammer Age of Sigmar. This is an RTS game. I don't like what they've done with Warhammer Fantasy with this reboot. They've basically turned it into 40k, and I kind of get their thought process with that because 40k has always been the larger known brand with Warhammer. But like, they kind of ruined a lot of the fantasy elements, basically making, because that on the front cover is I believe it's a Stormcast Eternal is what they're called. It's basically just a Space Marine. It's really unfortunate that they've sacrificed that. I believe they're trying to do a reset yet again because it's still struggling, so that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Forza Motorsport 6. This is the sim side of Forza. I did a lot in this game. Where was it? Did I not do them all? I must have done them all. Maybe not. I did a load of the endurance races, is what it was called. And they are so long. Like, you're talking like 8-hour races for some of these things. Yeah, 8 days playtime. Absolutely, like, consumed my life for a period of time. Doom 64, that was another limited run print, I believe. Was just checking out to make sure it worked. Never played Doom 64. Yes or Grace is a mixture of like a strategy game and a visual novel, kind of the way they explore it a little bit. It's not really heavily visual novel inspired, but a very like narrative. You're choosing tough choices, and just trying to run a kingdom that's heavily, heavily, heavily struggling. Do you want to get back to it? Talisman, I think we talked about the other version they did. This was the first kind of crack at it of the tabletop, trying to translate it into a normal video game. They did a good job. It was just very, very flawed, but a very fun tabletop game. If you ever get the chance to try it, buy the newer version, because it runs a lot better. Dustborn. Oh boy, what a game! Won't be dunking on it. We'll just leave it be. Castlevania Anniversary Collection, another limited run print, making sure it worked. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Kind of a black sheep of the family. It obviously got very torn to shreds. It was, I'd say they were a little bit coy and maybe not entirely truthful with what they were marketing it as, because I remember they were like, no, it's not like it's what you expect from us, and then they kind of were like, no, it's more of a live service game, and then the moment they said live service game, everybody tore it to shreds, and then they tried to like backtrack and save face at a very bad launch where the things didn't work. The people were paying for like the really expensive edition for the early access couldn't access the game. I got this many, many, many months after release, and this would have been like sub £10 pickup. And for like sub £10, like the game's fun, it's enjoyable. Not for like 90 or whatever the hell that they were charging for that super deluxe edition. I'd be pissed if I was in them shoes. But yeah, like a fun gameplay loop, a very poor attempt at trying to make a live service game. I didn't like how it had like narrative, and you can get to the end of it, and then it was kind of like a, here's how we're injecting the infinite supply of content, and it was just the most weak attempt to implement it that I'd ever seen, really. And I was like, cool, won't be doing that. But there we go. We've hit the hour mark. So we'll be beginning from High on Life 1 next time. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to join a Discord of like-minded gamers such as yourself, make sure to pop a comment down below and I'll hit you back with a link. And if you somehow stumbled upon here before Brandon, make sure to check out the description below where his channel will be linked. But yeah, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.